Just recently, the Better Call Saul finale said goodbye in a beautifully poetic fashion. The final episode of the Breaking Bad prequel succeeded to tie together more than a decade of storytelling. The six-season run of Better Call Saul came to an end with a massive series finale in which Jimmy, Saul, and Gene were given a suitable send-off. He could have gotten away with just 7 years in a minimum security facility, but after learning that Kim had made a complete confession to the police, something inside of him was set off, and he decided to change his plea. If Breaking Bad was about the rise and fall of Walter White, then Better Call Saul was about the path almost taken by Jimmy McGill and the path he now regrets. But as the prequel successfully weaved its timeline seamlessly with Breaking Bad, there may have been some details even avid fans have missed. Those miniature details are what we're going to talk about in today's video. But before we go any further, watch out for major spoilers ahead, and make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons for more videos like this. Now, let's get down to business. At the beginning of the episode, Jimmy McGill mentions Warren Buffett, who is a tremendous Breaking Bad fan, allowing the show to recognize its biggest supporter. The episode begins with a flashback to Bagman, episode 8 of season 5, as Jimmy and Mike drag Lalo's $7 million through the desert. Jimmy and Mike talk about the days they'd travel back in time to if they possessed a time machine while they are stalled. Jimmy claims that he would go back in time to 1965, the year Buffett took over Berkshire Hathaway, and would invest some of Lalo's wealth. Buffett very likely found that amusing. He has long been outspoken about his admiration for Breaking Bad, rating the series ending an A+, and performing a parody of it at Berkshire Hathaway's annual meeting in 2013. Buffett visited the Better Call Saul second season set as a special guest in 2015. Mike makes a subliminal statement that if he were to live his entire life over again, he would drastically alter some aspects of it in order to save his son, saying he'd go back in time to December 2001 before changing the date to March 17, 1984. In 2001, Matty, Mike's son, and a police officer was killed. We've learned through Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul that Mike struggled to deal with the demise of his son, who was attacked by people Mike had considered friends. Mike's alteration of the date suggests that he wouldn't travel back in time to save his son. Instead, he would travel further back in time to possibly select an alternative lifestyle and line of work, one that would not put his loved ones at risk. Jimmy's future in prison is hinted at the episode's start. A shot of the mixer at the prison can be seen in a blink-and-you'll-miss-it moment right after the show's title appears on screen. Originally, the scene setting looked like this was a callback to Gene at Cinnabon, but that wasn't the case. Because of his brother Chuck, Saul continued inquiring of individuals as to what time they would utilize a time machine to travel back to. Saul questioned Mike and Walter White in 2 separate flashback scenes about where they would go if they could go back in time and change anything. If you assumed it was a chance inquiry, you were mistaken. The sci-fi classic The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, which depicts a time traveler's journey into the future, was discreetly disclosed in another flashback towards the end of the show that Jimmy's brother, Chuck, owned. Chuck informs Jimmy in the closing scene, there's no shame in going back and changing your course if you don't like where you're going. In the end, Jimmy took that action. Just that it took him a while to realize that. Despite being subtly hinted at throughout the show's final season, the time machine is never acknowledged on the program. Did you remember the book The Time Machine? You may not have pondered upon it, but Chuck's The Time Machine book was previously seen on Season 6 of Better Call Saul. In the Season 6 debut, the book appears in Saul Goodman's home as it is being cleaned. On Episode 2 of Season 6, Carrot and Stick, Jimmy can be seen reading H.G. Wells' book in Kim and Jimmy's bedroom. Chuck spent all those years with Jimmy, with Saul and Jimmy traveling back in time before the events of Better Call Saul, forward to the timeline following Better Call Saul, and to a few significant moments from the series. This entire episode effectively served as a time machine. The flashback with Chuck appears to take place the day before the entire show's first episode. Jimmy teases he may bring Chuck an issue of Financial Times on the series finale of Better Call Saul, the thing we see him do on the show's pilot. Jimmy makes one final call to the disappearer from a dumpster. On Breaking Bad, Robert Forster portrayed the disappearer. Jimmy received his card earlier in Season 6, as we saw. According to supporters, Jimmy received Ed Galbraith's best quality vacuum repair card from Dr. Caldera, a veterinarian with connections to the criminal underground. Only those who desire to vanish and begin a new life under a different name should utilize the number on the card. When Jimmy needed to leave Albuquerque, New Mexico, he previously called the number in Breaking Bad and was transferred to Nebraska. Jimmy freaks out while in the dumpster because his diamonds go flying everywhere. Jimmy disclosed that he maintained a hoard of diamonds in a tiny Band-Aid tin on the Season 5 debut. Fans believed Jimmy exchanged any money he still had for diamonds so he could simply go if necessary. Jimmy stumbles while attempting to phone Ed, causing the tin and the diamonds to fly everywhere. The diamonds, which meant more to Jimmy than anything else in the world, ultimately proved to be his downfall when the police heard sounds coming from the garage where he was hiding. Saul references Season 5, Episode 8 of Breaking Bad, which was the genius 2-minute prison spree, and mentions the lawyer Dan who was killed. On Breaking Bad, Season 5, Episode 8, Saul discusses Walt's order to kill 10 people in under 2 minutes. He even makes reference to Daniel Wachsberger, the attorney who defended a few of Gustavo Fring's goons. Jimmy McGill broke the Saul persona and went away to prison due to Kim's confession. Saul received a favorable agreement to serve 7 years in jail. He chose to be truthful when it came time for his day in court and received 86 years to life in exchange. In case you're wondering, Jimmy's last talk with Kim solely led to his decision to make everything worse for himself. After years of not hearing from Jimmy, Kim advised him to turn himself in Season 6, Episode 12. In response, Jimmy advised Kim to turn herself in because he didn't believe she was innocent either, and that she should. Jimmy was astounded by the episode's conclusion when Kim truly admitted that Howard had died in order to liberate herself and live her life regularly, with whatever repercussions she would face. He then made the decision to follow suit and requested Kim's presence as a witness. He may have served 7 years in prison as Saul, but when he would be released, he would still be by himself. He ultimately made the decision that something was more important to him than his diamonds or his money after being inspired by Kim. He valued letting Kim know that Jimmy, the person she once knew and loved, still existed more than shedding his Saul identity. Kim and Jimmy smoke one last cigarette together as a nod to their first joint. The first time we see Kim and Jimmy together was in the pilot episode of Better Call Saul, which Kim and Jimmy recreated. Jimmy even gently places Kim's mouth back on the shared cigarette. It nearly seems like the scene is reversed. Since Kim and Jimmy are now on the other side of the room from each other, the light shining on them is now coming from behind bars. In a throwback to the Season 5 finale, Jimmy pointed his finger at Kim as she left the prison and discreetly fired rounds in her direction. The similar gesture was used to end Better Call Saul's final 2 seasons by Kim and Jimmy. On the Season 5 conclusion of Better Call Saul, Kim gestured to Jimmy and said, "Come up with a scheme to run on Howard." That's all for today. We hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and smash that notification bell for more episodes.